We think we see the world of money, right? The stores, the banks, the transactions. But just under all of that, there's another river flowing. It's a current of dirty money, and it's always, always looking for a crack to seep into the legitimate financial system. Today, we're going to follow that river right to the source of a massive breach and uncover the story of the one man on the inside who held the floodgates wide open. So let's just start with the number. The number that's at the very heart of this whole story, $474 million. Let that sink in for a second. That's how much dirty money one criminal network managed to wash clean through just one major American bank. And that really is the big question, isn't it? How does that much physical, illicit cash just vanish into the clean digital world of modern banking? You might be thinking it was some kind of sophisticated hack, a brilliant cyber attack. But the answer, as we're about to see, is a lot more human. It's the story of one trusted insider. Okay, so to really get the crime, you've got to meet the criminals. And I'm telling you, this was no small-time gig. This was a complex, sophisticated enterprise. And they had a very, very big problem, a cash problem. See, at the center of it all was a group the feds called David's Network. It was led by a guy named David Youngseds, who went by David. And according to the court documents, their whole criminal conspiracy was worth over $653 million. And what was their goal? Simple. Take all that dirty cash from illegal stuff and make it look totally legitimate, totally spendable. And that whole process has a name we've all heard, money laundering. It's really just the art of taking dirty money and running it through so many cycles in the legitimate system that it comes out the other side looking clean. Now, David's network, they were pros at getting the dirty money, but to actually use it, they needed a door into that clean world. And boy, did they find one. But here's the twist. The key to this whole massive operation, the real vulnerability in the bank's fortress, it wasn't a line of code. It was a person. Someone with a name badge, a desk, and the kind of trusted access you need to corrupt the system from within. His name is Wilfredo Aquino, and he wasn't some high-flying executive or a slick Wall Street trader. Nope, he was an assistant store manager at a local TD Bank branch. And he became the absolute linchpin of this entire scheme, the single point of failure that this whole criminal enterprise was banking on. Literally. And I mean, just look at this chart. You can see right here how critical he was. David's network, they were smart. They used a bunch of different TD Bank branches to try and spread things out, but the amount of laundered money flowing through Aquino's branch in Midtown Manhattan, it wasn't just a little bit higher. It was in a whole other universe. So the big question is, how'd he do it, right? How does one assistant manager make millions upon millions of dollars completely invisible to the authorities? Well, the method was shockingly simple. He basically created what I like to call a paper ghost. Now, to get how the ghost works, you first have to understand the trap that's designed to catch it. It's a simple form called a currency transaction report, or a CTR. By law, anytime you do a cash transaction over $10,000, this report gets triggered. It's the financial system's tripwire, its alarm bell, designed to flag exactly the kind of stuff David's network was up to. And guess who's responsible for filling out these reports correctly? The bank employees. As the U.S. Attorney's Office puts it, they are the first line of defense. They're the ones standing on the wall between the clean money and the dirty. It is a fundamental core part of their job, a duty that Aquino was about to betray. So, how many times did he betray that duty? According to the indictment, Aquino processed about 1,680 official bank checks for David's network. Almost every single one of them needed a CTR. That's 1,680 different times he had a chance to do the right thing and sound the alarm. And this, right here, this is the smoking gun. It's the whole crime in black and white. A proper CTR is supposed to name the conductor of the transaction. That's the actual person standing there making the deposit. On the right, you can see Aquino's method. He just left it blank. That's it. By leaving one name out of one little box over and over and over again, he made the leader of the conspiracy, David, a ghost in the machine. And let's be clear, this was no accident. The court filings show he knew exactly what he was doing. A coworker actually warned him directly, saying David's activity looks like money laundering. He also knew that the bank had already shut down other accounts tied to David because they were so suspicious. He saw every single red flag, and he just blew right past them. So that brings us to the question that's probably been bugging you this whole time. Why? Why would a trusted bank manager risk literally everything for this?
Well, the answer is kind of unbelievable. It's in this staggering contrast between the sheer scale of the crime and the size of his reward. First, let's talk about the crime again. Out of that nearly $500 million the network laundered, Wilfredo Aquino personally pushed through transactions worth over $92 million. I mean, that is just an incredible amount of money for one person to help make disappear.
And now for the reward. For his part in a $92 million criminal conspiracy for risking decades of his life in prison, Aquino took bribes that added up to just over $11,000. And get this, it wasn't even cash. It was in retail gift cards. Yeah, gift cards. But of course, a paper trail that big can't stay hidden forever. The scheme kicked off in 2019 and ran for about 2 years before the walls started closing in. Investigators figured it out, and by February 2022, the big boss, David, pleaded guilty. Then, in January of 2024, the man on the inside, Wilfredo Aquino, did the same. So for that 11 grand in gift cards, Aquino is now facing the full force of the American justice system. His guilty plea for conspiracy could land him in federal prison for up to 20 years. Plus, he's looking at a fine that could be $500,000 or even double the amount he helped launder. A very, very bad trade. So let's zoom out for a minute, because this story isn't really just about one corrupt bank employee. It's about the safety and integrity of our entire financial system and all the different layers of defense that are designed to protect it. When that first line of defense, the employee, fails, the next lines have to move in. And this whole case was put together because of the incredibly detailed work from investigators at the IRS and the FDIC. These are the folks who follow the money, who comb through the paperwork and find the ghosts. And the people who prosecuted this case, they were from a special group inside the Department of Justice called the Bank Integrity Unit. Their whole job is to go after insiders like Aquino, because their actions don't just help one criminal group. They shake the public's trust in the security of the whole system. And that really brings us to the final thought, doesn't it? We spend billions and billions of dollars to secure our financial world. We build these digital fortresses with crazy encryption and physical vaults with steel-reinforced concrete. But what a story like this shows us is that the biggest vulnerability, it isn't in the code or the concrete. It's always human. It's always the person you trust with the keys.